Alrighty, y'all, welcome back to the live stream here on the channel. Glad to see you here. So far, we have Raven, we have Caleb, Caden, Pez, random guy, also have Bulldog, and Comparison here, WX here, and everyone else who was watching may not be chatting. Glad to have you here as well. Legacy to the stream. And yeah, let's go ahead and dive right on into this tropical wave that we're going to be tracking first. Let me just pull something up really quick. You know what? I'm going to pull it up over here. And then I will change the scene on over to, you know, our main scene where you guys can see me. So there we go. Okay, now I'm going to switch y'all all over to... Well, I gotta find it. I have too many scenes, y'all. Alright, let's put y'all over here. Hopefully that's good enough. Yep, that is good enough. Then I can go ahead and move this over here, and we can dive into the models in just a moment. But first, we're going to start out with our water vapor imagery. And yeah, it seems like not a whole lot is going on out there. You really have to look a little bit closer to see our tropical waves. We do have one broad tropical wave here. That's the one that's going to be heading into the Caribbean and then potentially even into the Gulf of Mexico. We have another wave. Actually, this is your whole wave here. I believe this is your entire first wave. I'll actually have to go look at the NHC because these waves are a little bit close to each other. I don't know exactly where both of them are. Okay, yes, I am correct. So that's one big wave right there. I think the main low pressure of this wave is centered generally out in this vicinity here. And then we have another tropical wave. It's right over here on the very edge of your screen, just coming off the coastline of Africa. And then we actually have a tropical wave directly on the coastline of Texas and Louisiana that, if it stays in the Gulf of Mexico, may actually be able to spin up into a tropical storm over the next week or so. So that's your entire view of your lower level water vapor imagery. Really two main waves to keep an eye on. One specific wave that could potentially become a tropical storm to maybe even potentially a hurricane, but I don't want to jump the gun on that just yet. We're going to just call it a potential tropical storm that we'll most likely see form as it moves into the western Caribbean. I'm going to move y'all over here. So that way we can dive on into your severe weather threats for today. Then we'll dive on into your model runs and the National Hurricane Center and everything like that. For today's severe weather threat across the U.S., we do have really just one main area to pay attention to out there in Michigan. It's not that high end of a severe threat today, which is why we're not going to be covering it. We'll mention it every now and then. The software is running back in the background, so if we do get a tornado warning, we will get absolutely jump scared by a beep. But that's your slight risk for severe weather today. 2% tornado risk, 15% wind risk, and a 5% hail risk. Another risk back down here in the Carolinas for some isolated damaging wind gusts there in that brown 5% chance. Tomorrow, we have a big slight risk for severe weather. Tornado threat is less than 2% at the moment. Mainly going to be a wind threat with gusts up to 70 tomorrow and some isolated small hail up to an inch, inch and a half in diameter. Then we have a big day 3 marginal risk as we go into Sunday as well. So not really much to look at for severe weather. I mean, that's really going to be it for severe weather. Today, tomorrow, wind threats, day 3 is just a marginal risk for some very isolated 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So not really much of a deep dive into severe weather is anticipated. There's not much on the model runs for severe weather, so we're not going to spend much time on that side of things. We're going to go ahead and dive right on into your model runs. We'll start out with everybody's favorite model run, the GFS. I'm sure everybody loves that model run for sure because it's so accurate. It's okay. It's okay if you're right around the 180 frames out or below that. Beyond that, it gets very inaccurate. But here is your GFS model run. I'm gonna put it over here to the Northern Atlantic, or maybe we'll do the Western Atlantic. So here's your GFS model run. This is the 12Z from earlier today. Of course, you can't see your AOI at the moment, but there it is on the far east side of the screen right in here. I feel like this is really zoomed out. There we go. Much better. Much, much better. I just felt like we were really zoomed out there. So there's your wave. On September 2nd, it's going to move through the Lesser Antilles, Leeward Islands, move into the Caribbean. September 4th is really going to be the first opportunity to where it may be able to form into a tropical storm as it goes south of Puerto Rico, south of Haiti, south of the Dominican Republic. That moves up to the west-northwest quite quickly. GFS doesn't develop it into the central Caribbean. It really takes until it gets to the western Caribbean on September 8th or September 7th into September 8th that it really starts to get that well-defined low pressure with a decent tropical storm look to it. And you'll see this, of course, this is just one deterministic GFS model run. We'll look at your ensembles in a bit, but we want to go through our global models first. So we're going to see this intensify. According to the GFS, it's going to intensify quite rapidly on September 8th as it gets into the Gulf of Mexico, goes from a tropical storm on the morning of September 8th to a Category 2 hurricane on the nocturnal hours of the September 8th time frame, and then continues to rapidly intensify into even a potentially major hurricane into Florida. Now, of course, you do want to keep in mind this is just a deterministic model run. You don't want to put too much faith into that, and it's not something to be imminently concerned about in Florida. So we'll just continue to keep an eye on it very, very closely. Keep an eye on the GFS model run. It is not consistent at the moment. With deterministic model runs like the GFS, we look for consistency. Consistency is key between these model runs. And if we go to the older model run, boom, it's in the Yucatan. Other model run, boom, it's in the Yucatan Peninsula. Another one, boom, west of Cuba. Another one, it's all the way here in the Eastern Pacific. Another one, it's southwest of Florida. Another one, it's southwest of Florida, but a whole lot weaker. So there is no consistency between these model runs at this particular moment, at least for the GFS. One thing that may be relatively consistent is the potential for a tropical storm to form out in this area. But in terms of exact impacts and exact tracks, the GFS is definitely terrible for that. We are getting a new model run, the 18Z GFS. It goes out to, at the moment, September 4th. It will continue to render in throughout this live stream. We'll look at it quite often throughout the stream. But currently, as of September 4th, which is 108 frames out on this model run, you can see the tropical system. I don't really know what it will be designated as at that point. If I had to guess, it would probably be a tropical depression or a storm at this point on September 4th. and I imagine it's going to take it generally up to this vicinity here, something like that. There's a couple different tracks. We'll dive on into that as we go through our ensembles, but let's go ahead and move on to your 18Z European. This is something we lacked at big time yesterday for yesterday's video. Our European model was absolutely broken. Tropical Tidbits was down, so at least it was down for like a 6-hour time frame. So the 00Z, 06Z, and the 12Z model runs yesterday didn't render in. Now they're rendered in, of course, though. So anyways, September 3rd, pretty much the same thing as the GFS model run, a broad low pressure right here in the Eastern Caribbean, just a really broad, disorganized tropical wave, and it should, we'll see how quickly it gets its act together here, but it should get its act together September 3rd. Still tropical storm. September 4th, still a tropical storm southwest of Jamaica. There you go. September 6th gets its act together, becomes a Category 1 hurricane on September 6th. September 7th becomes a Cat 2. And then it might actually, according to this model run, hit the northern tip of the Yucatan Peninsula and then attempt to become a major hurricane as it moves into the Gulf of Mexico on September 9th. That is as far out as your European model run goes. Now, let's look for consistency again. Unfortunately, we only have like 3 model runs for consistency, whereas the GFS, we could use like 6 different runs. So there's your 12Z. Here's your 00Z. You already notice it's way more south from yesterday. Your 12Z from yesterday, it's in the general same spot as the 12Z today. Let's see if it's a little bit stronger. It's generally the same. So the 12Z yesterday is about the same as the 12Z today. And then we could do the 00Z from a couple days ago, which shows it very unorganized. So the general pattern here of these trends, I am noticing a trend, is it seems like the newer model runs are taking it more to the northeast, as well as slightly stronger, at least on the European models, because towards the first model run we looked at 00Z, it was closer to down here, and then it was just really a broad wave that went into the Yucatan Peninsula, and then you saw it for just a second. It was a tropical storm over the southwest portion of the Yucatan Peninsula. So looks like we are having an uptrend on the European model. Now, keep in mind, the European is typically a very conservative, a very, very conservative model run. It's actually been pretty good. Actually, I'll rephrase that. It's been really good this season. The times it's been aggressive, it's actually been correct. It was aggressive with Barrel, not aggressive enough, but it was still aggressive with Barrel, and it nailed that system. It was aggressive with Debbie, 240 frames out, the end of the European model run. It nailed, or almost nailed Debbie from the get-go, and that went really well, and now it's picking up on what's soon to be, I think, Francine. Unless we manage to get a tropical storm in the Gulf first from that first tropical AOI, which the European does nothing with, this upcoming AOI will become a tropical storm Francine, and then probably Hurricane Francine. Let's go ahead and move on over to our AI European, which I don't think shows anything. This is the 12Z broad tropical wave moving into the Leeward Islands, Lesser Antilles on the 2nd, continuing on into the 4th and to the 5th, and it slams it right on, I believe that's your wave, yeah, slams it right into Central America. That is a possibility. However, I feel like that is one of the less likely outcomes. There is an outcome where this tropical waves does something like this or something like this, and it doesn't impact the United States. However, at this moment, from what I've seen on model runs, again, we'll dive into the ensembles, the most likely scenario seems to be a recurve up towards Florida, something around the realms of this track here. So I don't feel like the European AI model run is handling this system well. Then, of course, it takes our 3rd AOI and kind of just meanders it over there east of the Lesser Antilles on September 10th, September 12th here. Very, very interesting on why that takes it so close to the Lesser Antilles. That's really interesting. Very close to the Lesser Antilles there. Let's go over to our... we're going to skip the nav gem. I did use that once, but it's very inaccurate. The one time I used it, it was terribly inaccurate. So here goes the Icon model run. Actually gets its act together really quick. Look at that. In 60 66 to 75 hours from now, we have a tropical storm already starting to form east, if not on top of the southern Lesser Antilles. So that's probably the most aggressive model run in terms of early formation there. Also note, it has a tropical storm off the coastline of Texas here on September 3rd. So two tropical storms on the icon model here. This doesn't have a high probability of forming, but if it can stay away from Texas and Louisiana for a day, for like 2 to 3 days, it might actually be able to gain tropical storm status. So we do want to watch that a little bit closer than what we were a couple days ago. That is the if you guys remember my video from, was it 5? It's been like 5-6 days since that video was uploaded. I think it was 6 days ago. We were talking about a wave moving off of Central America, going through the Yucatan Peninsula, and then heading towards Texas and Louisiana. That's it. That is it. So the wave we mentioned 5-6-ish days ago, the NHC now has a chance of forming, and the icon model has picked back up on that. All right, let's go ahead and continue with our main area of interest here. Continues as a tropical storm. And this is actually your newest icon model. I didn't even realize this. This is your newest icon model. It just finished rendering probably 10 minutes ago. And that shows a tropical storm southeast of, what is that? I believe that's the Dominican Republic, southeast of Dominican Republic, south of Puerto Rico. We're going to have to go a little bit further behind here to the 12Z icon. Now we can go out a little bit further. Continues it as a hurricane, maybe even a Category 2 hurricane. Look how far north that is. That is actually quite a bit more north here as we go towards September 5th and 6th. The icon model takes that probably up towards Cuba. And I imagine if this kept on going, it would probably curve it east of Florida, in between the Bahamas and Florida, something around the tracks of that, around the realms of something like that. But that is where our icon model ends, which is actually by far the most northernmost tropical storm I've seen out of any of these model runs. Let's go on into let's see if we could use any other, let's just take a quick peek at the nav gem. It's rendering in now. Yep, okay, we're not going to look at that again. Let's go ahead and go on into your European ensembles here. That is not your ensembles. Actually, it is. Yeah, there you go. So here's your European ensembles. This is your 12Z, so recently rendered in ensembles. I think they finished about 3 hours ago. There's your primary tropical wave right there. This is going to be September 3rd, moves into the Eastern Caribbean. A lot of ensemble confidence there. That is a very wide variety of ensemble confidence. You could see there may be a member or two that take this further north, but the majority have it well into the Eastern Caribbean as we go into September 4th. See if any of those split off. I'm not seeing many. Some take it very close to, if not making landfall on Jamaica, but I'm not seeing any go up towards like Dominican Republic, Haiti, or Cuba at the moment. A lot of there is some that take it into the southeastern side of Cuba, and then a big spread, quite a big amount of uncertainty here, very large spread amongst your European ensembles on exactly where it will go. But generally in the Western Caribbean, we're looking at a tropical storm, maybe a borderline hurricane on most of these ensembles, and then once it gets into the Gulf, a lot of uncertainty there, but still generally a good steering pattern that's going to steer this closer to Louisiana, Florida, and some manage to take this into even the far west central Atlantic. But regardless, here's the key factor here. Here's the big thing. Regardless of what happens, we're looking at land interactions. We're looking at landfall of a tropical system, maybe a tropical storm, maybe a hurricane. It's just in the matter of where. All these European ensembles, and notice every last one of them. See if you can find one that doesn't hit land. See if we can find one. There's landfall Jamaica, Yucatan Peninsula, Central America, Jamaica, Cuba, Yucatan Peninsula. I do see one. Let's see where that goes. See this batch here? That does go into the Gulf, and still, look at that, hits Florida. See if you can find any that don't hit land. I don't see a single one that doesn't have land interactions and ends up bringing some type of tropical impacts to somewhere in the Western Caribbean or into the southeastern side of the United States. on these European ensembles. Now, this is very, very weird. This is extremely aggressive. It is something we've actually seen quite often on the European ensemble this year. We saw it with Beryl. We saw it with Debbie. We saw it with, now we're seeing it with probably what is future Francine. So these aggressive European ensemble runs have actually been very, very accurate, but it's not that often you see it, and we've already seen it 3 times this year at the least. Let's go over to your GFS ensembles now, which, again, we're getting newer ensemble data in right now, 18Z. But these are 12Z models, too, which means that they are typically more accurate. Your 00Z and 12Z models are typically more accurate, with your 06Z and 18Z being slightly less accurate. So here's your 18Z GEFS. These develop it really quick. Look at that. According to the GFS ensembles, we're already dealing with a tropical storm. Some of these even a hurricane, just 96-ish hours out here west of the Lesser Antilles. See if any of these take it really far north. A lot of these take it far north. A really good chunk of these ensembles take it directly into Haiti, Dominican Republic. Some of them, of course, are going to take it with a near miss of Jamaica. Let's see if we get a second batch to form out here. Watch this little ensemble here. See if it increases. There you go. There you go. Increases into the Gulf of Mexico. So a lot more uncertainty on the GFS ensembles here. A lot more variety. We have some ensembles that split off, a good chunk that split off like this. Some that are going to split off like this. Others split off closer to the Gulf of Mexico into Florida. And then if we go towards the end, you'll even see some off the Yucatan. Yeah, look at that. Some even off the Yucatan Peninsula there. Just forming off the Yucatan and then moving into Mexico. So still a wide variety of possible outcomes here with your ensemble member guidance. And just to go out a little bit more east here before we use weather nerds, I want to see your ensembles, European ensembles for this tropical wave. There you go. There's tropical wave. We'll call this tropical wave 2, because technically if you go by order of the NHC, this is tropical wave 1. This is tropical wave 3 over here. So we're going to call this one tropical wave 2. Because the NHC highlighted this one first, this one second, and now they've highlighted a third one over here over at Texas. So let's go ahead and continue with this, pull this out more. European ensembles. Ooh, look at that. Even a fourth one on some of these ensembles developing here well east of the Lesser Antilles. Yeah, wouldn't be shocked if we get a fish storm, tropical storm, or hurricane somewhere generally out in here with that second AOI that the NHC has. Let's just take a look at the GFS ensembles here. See if they show generally the same thing. Generally the same thing as well. A little bit less aggressive, but still multiple ensembles with a tropical storm, tropical depression, or a hurricane out here by September 8th, September 9th. So we'll probably get a fish name storm out there in the far eastern portion of the Atlantic. Alrighty, let's go ahead and move on into our weather nerds, because that will show us the each and individual weather nerds ensembles here. Let's see if I can go ahead and pull this up. I'm doing good, Proxy. I'm doing good. Let's go ahead and zoom on in here so I can show you guys without showing much of an ad here. There's your European ensembles on Weather Nerds. And you can see each individual plot here. A very, very high certainty that this is going to be heading into the Eastern Caribbean. Beyond that, you could see a few of these ensembles venture into Dominican Republic, Haiti, Eastern Cuba, and then into the Bahamas, back out to the northeast. But the majority of your group is going to take this right through the central portions of the Caribbean into the Gulf of Mexico, and then recurve it back up towards Florida and probably the eastern seaboard. So that's where the majority of your group is here on the European ensembles. Most of them, like I said, take it through the central Caribbean and then curve it back up probably closer to Florida, eastern Louisiana, That seems to be our most likely outcome at the moment. However, like I said, there's multiple other outcomes here as well. There's an outcome where we see land impacts for Dominican Republic, Bahamas, then this thing goes out to sea. There's an outcome where this goes into the Yucatan Peninsula, then kind of slows down a lot out here and kind of slowly meanders itself right back on into Mexico. And then, of course, like I said, most likely outcome, this goes into the Gulf and then into Florida or Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. The whole Gulf states are open. Florida, Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Texas, all open to a potential tropical landfall here. I mean, once you get a system into the Caribbean, it can only hit land. There has been cases, of course, where we barely thread the needle and, a tropical system will do something like this and avoid land interactions just barely. But regardless, somebody's going to be feeling impacts from this tropical system. The Lesser Antilles will feel impacts, probably not tropical storm force impacts, but at least some impacts. Like I said, Jamaica, Yucatan Peninsula, Mexico, and the entirety Gulf coastline. The Bahamas are still at play here, of course. Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Haiti. Everybody in the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico will be under the gun for a potential tropical storm as we go towards the beginning and middle portion of next week. So definitely want to keep a very close eye on these ensembles. We'll see how much changes tomorrow. The reason why I didn't do any live stream yesterday, I almost did an urgent coverage stream, but thankfully the tornado was actually relatively short-lived, so by the time I had it set up, it lifted. So yeah, another reason why I didn't do any tropical update yesterday is simply because it was just, we were just starting to see that uptrend. I wanted to give it a full 24 hours to make sure that this thing was going to be, something really notable to talk about and give it a whole live stream to itself. Let's see here. Let's go to the GEFS ensembles now. Automatically a whole lot less aggressive, but still Lesser Antilles impacts, still obviously at this point expected. We're expecting impacts for the Lesser Antilles. They just shouldn't be anything significant at the moment. You can see some of these ensembles take it into Central America, the southeastern portion of the Yucatan Peninsula. Also, some take it up towards Jamaica, Haiti, Cuba. Even one or two take it towards Puerto Rico. And we only have, 2 or 3 ensembles that actually get this into the Gulf of Mexico. So at the moment, the GFS ensembles are a whole lot less aggressive than our European, it's typically, from what I've seen, like last year, 2022, typically it's the other way around. The Europeans conservative and the GFS ensembles are like ridiculous. But this year it's been really the opposite from what I've seen so far. I think that's your main things to talk about there, your main model runs. We really dove on into everything there. Go ahead and get the NHC up. All right, here's your NHC National Hurricane Center here. Make sure you guys can see this. We'll zoom it in. So there's AOI 1. This is going to get a bit confusing, but here's AOI 1, AOI 2, and then AOI 3. So 3 areas of interest. This should stay a fish storm, has a very real chance of becoming a tropical storm out to sea here. This is our main system, main one to watch. At the moment, it has a medium chance of forming into a tropical storm within, keyword, within the next 7 days. It has a medium chance of becoming a tropical storm as it tracks through the central eastern Caribbean. And then we have a low chance for a tropical storm or depression to form on the coastline of Texas, Louisiana. This could quite quickly become a named storm or a tropical depression if it can stay in the Gulf. You can see the X here is barely off of Texas and Louisiana. So if this meanders into Texas, Louisiana, and then just stays here, it's done. But there's a couple models that I have seen that actually take it back on into the Gulf like this, becomes a tropical storm or depression, and then pulls it back on into Louisiana. So we will watch that just in case we can get a sneaky named storm out of that one. But back to this, again, the key The key highlight here is within the next 7 days, this system may become a tropical storm. It has a medium chance. Now, as this goes towards the Western Caribbean and the Gulf, if it can get there, because, it might just move on into Puerto Rico and then out to sea, which would probably be one of the better case scenarios. Definitely not for Puerto Rico, but it would allow for a weaker tropical system. Overall, we'd still see some decent impacts for Puerto Rico, the Lesser Antilles, maybe up to tropical storm force if that did happen, but it would be weaker. It wouldn't have all this time in the Caribbean and all this time in the Gulf of Mexico. So I think the real opportunity for this to form is going to be near, if not west of Jamaica, into the entirety of the Gulf of Mexico, somewhere out here. That's where I think it has a really good chance of forming. So we should see these probabilities slowly increase. They were at 50% yesterday. They brought it back down to 40%. Probably because the GFS ensembles are a little uncertain. And not only that, there is a bit of uncertainty on if it will form within the next 7 days. So I think they'll still keep climbing on those probabilities. The closer we get, the higher those probs will go. We'll probably see it up to a 50% tomorrow night. Then the next day it will be up to 60, depending on exactly where it is. Very late tomorrow night or the next day, they may bring that up to a high chance, 70+%. But there's still multiple outcomes. Like I said, this could go up towards Puerto Rico, which would be a better, it's not really the best case scenario, but it would be a better case scenario because, like I said, it'd result in it being less intensity, a lot lower on the tropical storm force side of things, if not just a tropical depression. Then, of course, we could see this go into the Gulf, something like that, recurve up towards Louisiana, Florida, this general area here. And then, of course, we could see it go on into the Yucatan Peninsula and then Mexico. So there's multiple outcomes. There's about 4 outcomes. 2 of them are the main outcomes. Our first most likely scenario, I just said it goes into the Gulf up towards Florida, recurves east of Louisiana. The next very real outcome is it goes into the Yucatan Peninsula, then into Mexico. I think those are our 2 most likely outcomes at the moment. Yesterday, it was actually, instead of it going into the Yucatan Peninsula, I was actually talking about it recurving back out to sea. I don't see that as a most likely outcome, but it's still a possibility. So definitely want to be on alert if you live anywhere out in the Caribbean, this whole area here, which is, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people for sure. You want to be watching this system closely because you can see the arrow. It's aimed right for the Caribbean. It's going to be in the Caribbean. It's going to go in the Caribbean. It's just a matter of will it curve out of the Caribbean and go out to see something like Ernesto did. So yeah, I think the Euro is going to nail this storm. I wouldn't be surprised. I really would not. I wouldn't be shocked if you are completely right. Hello, LWX. Glad to see you in here. Philip as well. Proxy, of course. Welcome to the stream, Brittany. Glad to have you all in here. I liked the first 30 minutes or so. I apologize. I don't really pay attention to chat too much because I like to get a really good briefing in because I know some people will watch this stream back. Actually, about 100 to 200 people will watch the stream back, and I want to cram as much information in that 30 minutes as possible and then go on into our rambling. So in the Eastern Pacific, there's no activity. That's not a shocker there. We still do have Hone, I think. What the heck? Surface low, the remnant of Tropical Cyclone Gilma was 100 miles north of, is that Hilo? North of the main island of Hawaii. Why would they note that if it's a 0%? Okay, but yeah, there's... What's that? That must be a graphical mistake. Look, they got a little, yeah, that's a graphical mistake. They have a little yellow pixel out here. But there's Hone, tropical depression. What? You're telling me it could redevelop? Wow. Hold on. Do we have tropical storm watches out for Hawaii? This product says we do, but Radar Omega says we don't. Let's check here. Go to this. Yeah, we actually do have tropical storm watches out for Hawaii. I was completely unaware of that. I was fully unaware that Hone actually could become a tropical storm again, and not really a near miss with Hawaii. It's pretty well off to the west, but we could see some very minor tropical storm impacts for all of Hawaii. I was fully unaware of that. Fully unaware of that. Glad I looked back over here. So I imagine at the 8 p.m. advisory, because we will have an advisory here in about an hour, 30 minutes. We probably won't be live for that. But I imagine they may uptick this to a 50% again. If they do anything higher than a 50%, I'd be shocked. If they downgrade it, I'd be shocked. They're either going to keep it at 40% or up it to 50. I don't know, because see, the GFS ensembles, those have really maintained with uncertainty on if it will actually form, but the European has gotten a lot more aggressive, so I think the most likely case here is they up it to a 50%. And they may increase that formation of, you can see the formation in the next 48 hours, see it at near 0%. They may increase that to 10%. Just simply because there is some solutions where this forms just barely east of the Lesser Antilles. I actually haven't gotten a solid look at what it looks like right now. Satellite, can we get like a regional section out there or sub-regional or something? All right, no, we can't, so we're going to use tropical tidbits. I want to see if we can get like a closer view of this storm. All right, we're going to use Weather Nerds because on Weather Nerds you can zoom in really, really far. So since those two don't have like a solid satellite for this thing, let me see exactly where it's located so we can zoom in right where it is. It is located in between 50 west, 40 west. So that's going to be, let's see, this generally right here. Wait for it to load. Is it day out here? Nope. Definitely not day. Alright, so here is a look at your infrared satellite imagery on the current AOI out there, your main AOI. It actually won't let me change it. I do not use Weather Nerds much at all for satellite, so give me just a second. There we go. So there you go. There's your AOI right now. Definitely, definitely not that organized by any means. So you can see some blobs of convection around the low level cloud tops here, but definitely not a organized tropical system at the moment. Now a system that's actually pretty organized and looks a heck of a lot better is above my face cam. We're going to switch all on over to that. Here's your AOI in the Gulf of Mexico. You can see a very large, very large area of quite well-rounded convection. I don't know if there's much of a low pressure with circulation in here. Oh, yeah, definitely. See the spin? See the spin moving like this? Look at that. That is a really good broad low pressure with a good amount of convection around it. See, pay attention to those lower level clouds, like all right here. You can see it moving. Here you can see it moving. Here you can see it moving as well. So that's actually a really good looking tropical system there. Now, doesn't look like a depression or a storm at the moment, but definitely better than the AOI out in the Atlantic currently. Because this is so close to the shoreline, we can actually get a look of it from your radar site out here. Not a lot of heavy rainfall with it, so definitely not a tropical storm look or a hurricane look to it by any means. So yeah, we'll still monitor that, see if it can do anything. Your severe threat up in Michigan looks to be considerably underperforming at the moment, which is not a shocker there. Not a shocker there. Nothing in my area. Nothing, well, some light rain in Lucky's area. Speaking of Lucky, I think he will be live on his channel later on today for those who follow him. I believe he'll be live later on tonight, right around 7:30, and then we're going to have a gaming stream around 9 o'clock tonight. In terms of what we'll be doing here on the Weather Channel tomorrow, I don't know. I definitely won't be live Sunday, so we may have another update tomorrow on tropics. Depending on if there's any like notable changes, we'll probably go live tomorrow night. I imagine we'll try to go live tomorrow night. I'll be 50-50 on that. 50-50 if we stream tomorrow. But yeah, if you guys haven't already, which most of y'all have, make sure you hit that like button. Share the stream with your family, friends, social media, help spread weather awareness. It's definitely getting to a very active tropical period here, and it's probably going to continue to increase in activity throughout the rest of September. I know we're not even in September, but once we get through the whole entire, we have probably 30-ish hours left of August, which is crazy to think. Once we get through those hours, all of September looks very active. There's currently no CPC outlook for like the Central Gulf, where we see U.S. impacts potentially on the CPC outlook there, but we could very easily see multiple other tropical storms head up towards the U.S. as we get towards the middle of September. So definitely going to be a whole lot to watch in the tropics. And aside from what's left of today's severe event for the next hour and 20 minutes that we have left here before these storms start to move offshore, as well as aside from tomorrow's very regional, potential damaging wind threat, out of that stuff, we really don't have any severe weather. It's all very minimal, minimal severe weather activity beyond tomorrow, which is great news. Yeah, so here's a look at satellite in the Atlantic from Tropical Tidbits. This is, you could actually see it a bit better. You could see that very large tropical wave out here in the Gulf. You can see your main wave here, and then your other wave out here. Neither of these have a lot of convection. This one's starting with some convection on the far southeast side of the system. And then, of course, this one's got convection, pretty good convection, all in the Gulf into southern Louisiana, southeastern Texas. This is... This is about as dull of a tropical wave as you can get. It's not the dullest, because we had multiple other tropical waves that just literally were lower level clouds, and that's it. For instance, the remnants of Gilma. The remnants of Gilma was literally just clouds, and it was still a tropical depression with just literally just lower level clouds. That's it. Pretty quiet along the northern Atlantic, which is pretty cool to see. I feel like a lot of the times we have some big low pressure system with a massive comma head shape to it out here in the Atlantic, so pretty cool to see that. That's because we do have two dominating high pressures. I don't think I showed that. We might be able to find them on this. Probably not. I'm not the best at finding high pressures on satellite. But I'm pretty sure we have two quite dominant high pressures out here in the northern Atlantic. There's one generally around here, and then another one generally around here, which is why the National Hurricane Center, they don't really have on their outlook. You know, they have the X here, then they have the AOI here, something like that. They don't really account for a northern turn here, because we do have, I think. We have a high pressure south of Bermuda. You know what? I could just go look at maybe the WPC goes out here. They do not. I'm going to just take a quick peek at the GFS then. How about that? How about that? Just take a peek at the 500 millibar height anomalies in the Atlantic. Yep, we've got two high pressures. I was correct. We have two high pressures, almost exactly where I put them, yeah. No, like actually right where I put them. Oh, this one's more east though. So the high pressure's actually here. And then we have another one, like I said, just to the southeast of Bermuda. So we have two high pressures just like this, which is going to be your steering current. Steering currents generally like here. So, I mean, this could also go into the Central Atlantic too, or this Central America. That's what I was trying to say. Central America, the Gulf of Mexico. So that's your steering current with your high pressures. So that's why, like I said, the NHC, they have the X here with the AOI generally out in this area. It could curve back. It could curve back to C if we can get that high pressure. So like I said, we have high pressure here. If we get this high pressure that's currently right where my cursor is, if it moves more like this, then it could curve it more for this scenario here to where this tropical storm, or not tropical storm, but the tropical wave will ride along that high pressure ridge and go out to sea like that. Which I think that's what some of the GFS ensembles have, as well as there was one of those other main global models. I already forgot what it was. It was something on here. Let's see, was it the CMC? Nope. Was it the Icon? I know one of these models had it carving out to sea after making landfall in Jamaica. Or not Jamaica, the Dominican Republic. Yeah, I can't find it at the moment, but anyways, that's your general steering pattern at the moment. High pressure here, high pressure here. So that's why these waves are moving like this. This wave's moving here. This wave, this high pressure right here off your screen, that's going to help steer this wave up and around like this. And on some models, it kind of meanders out here. It goes more like this, kind of sits here and then tries to head back towards the Lesser Antilles. That's what you saw in the European AI model run. But generally, it's really straightforward here. There is some funny stuff we could see happen, but this AOI is going to go in the Caribbean. That should happen based on physics. And this AOI here should move up to the northwest and stay away from any land interactions. But like I said, we're going to have these small wiggles, especially if these high pressures move. If this high pressure goes more to the southeast, that could help drag this system back to the south as opposed to going out to sea. That could also help this storm curve up and around back out to sea. So those high pressures are going to be in my opinion, the number one factor on if this tropical wave 1 goes all the way to the Caribbean and then into the Gulf. And as for if it hits Florida or what states it hits over here, I believe we're going to have a little shortwave trough that enters the central portion of the U.S., and that might be able to kick it up towards Florida. And if that shortwave's a little bit late, then, well, the shortwave won't pick it up and it could go towards like Texas. Let's go ahead and take a look at some models, actually. I'll go ahead and take a look at that for you real quick. This is the 18Z GFS, which takes it more south. Look at that. This is your new GFS model run. Takes it more south into the Yucatan Peninsula. Here's your trough. Here is your trough right in here. Very obvious trough ejection on the GFS model run. Let's see if that changed from the 12Z. Yeah, see how the 12Z looks like there was that's either a trough or a high pressure here. If we could look at like I do not use this for severe weather forecasting at all. Yeah, so this big amplitude neutral or neutrally tilted trough here, that's what pulls our tropical system up to the trough and then pulls it back towards the northeastern side of the U.S. Watch that happen. Look at that. It follows like the exact arrow I just drew. So that's what happens on your 12Z GFS. And on your new GFS, let's see what happened. Ooh, much weaker. Much weaker. Look at the difference there. A much, much weaker trough ejection, really just centered over Michigan. So that allows for this tropical system off your screen here. We can go down. it wouldn't be like a magnet and go up towards your trough like this. Now it may curve a little bit more up towards like Texas, something like that. Or it could just go straight into southern Texas. So we'll see what the rest of this model has, but that's pretty interesting. Big difference on the trough ejection's size. Look at the 18Z. Look at the isobarbs and the contours there. You can see this. Look at it. It goes all the way out to Oklahoma, maybe even New Mexico. Probably not that far out. And then on the 18Z, here, it's really limited to just this area. And then you got a big fat high pressure out here. Look at that. Big old high pressure out there in the west central side of the U.S. So there is definitely some steering currents out here in the United States that's going to influence where this tropical system is going to go to. Also, look at that. You have a high pressure over Mexico, New Mexico, Arizona, Texas. So that's going to block it. That's going to be a shield here. The trough ejection is going to attract it up to the northeast on your 12Z model. So that setup right there, that is definitely a Florida storm right there. That is a Florida, maybe Alabama storm. Because you got that big blocking high here, trough ejection moving up to the northeast. That's going to magnet it up like this. And then if we look at 18Z, see if we can see that same thing. Yep, look at how far west your high pressure is. As opposed to it being here, it's way back over here. Maybe another secondary high pressure here. And then a much weaker, not as widespread trough ejection. And look at that, another high pressure right here in the western side of the Atlantic too. So that would actually also help it curve back. That's a very tricky setup there. Because this trough's going to try its best to pull it up. The high pressure is going to try and help it pull up. This high pressure is going to try and block it. This high pressure, well, that really doesn't matter because how the heck is something all the way up in Idaho going to affect what happened with the Southwest Gulf? So this just doesn't matter. But that's really interesting because this high pressure, if it's a bit stronger, could curve it up like this. Very sharp turn. This high pressure, a little bit more east could help it curve. A little bit more west could help it magnet closer to Texas. So a lot of stuff to dissect on this this new GFS here. A lot of moving parts, and that's a big issue. The more moving parts you have with weather, the more complicated it gets. And unfortunately, weather always has a bunch of moving parts. So when you add a low pressure, massive trough up here, high pressure here, high pressure here, high pressure here, tropical system here, yeah, this is going to change. This is going to change big time. Big time. And you can see on the 12Z, look at that. Much weaker high pressure here, weaker, more east high pressure here, way more north high pressure here, stronger trough here. So just completely different setups between the 18Z and the 12Z GFS. And then, my goodness, fully different on the European model. Completely different. A very strong ridge over the Bahamas, or south of Bermuda, east of the Bahamas. That's going to completely block it from going towards the Bahamas, completely block it from going to Jamaica, completely block it from going towards Puerto Rico. Very weak, but really large ridging here with a deep trough ejection like so. And that would be very interesting because this would probably be more of a Louisiana, Mississippi. If this model went out more, because this trough is already swinging out of the United States, that would probably pull it just a bit. Not a sharp curve into Florida like that, but probably a very marginal turn into Louisiana, Mississippi, kind of like this. And this high pressure here would help prevent it from staring into Texas and Mexico. And then, like I said, this high pressure is going to block it here. So on this particular model run, your window of landfall opportunities would be between the high pressure here and between the high pressure, low pressure back out in here. So that would be your window of potential landfalls on the European But yeah, what's that? The big blue blob up there? That's going to allow for a very, very wet eastern side of the United States, and probably a bit chilly too. I imagine that brings some really nice fake fall, false fall temperatures. If we could look at temperatures, I don't know if you can. I don't see it on the European, but I'm sure that brings some fake fall temps out there. The GFS I know has it. Definitely don't want that. Yeah, there you go. See, even the GFS shows that. Definitely not too good, though. You get towards the low 80s, maybe low to mid 80s there. But then again, the GFS doesn't have as good of that blue blob. Go back to that. See, the GFS's blue blob is a lot weaker as opposed to the, well, as opposed to the European. But yeah, there you go. That's your rundown of the tropics, y'all. We're probably close to concluding. We're going to stay live for 30 more minutes, actually. So if you guys haven't already, make sure you hit the like button, share the stream. We're going to stay live for another 35 minutes here. Let me see if I can contact Alecki really fast. There we go. I'm kind of curious to see what other setups have. I like doing this little breakdown here. This is your CMC. Fully different, man. Fully different. You've got a very weak high pressure here. Your trough is way ahead of schedule, which allows for a high pressure to barely even be present. You've got a trough here. You've got a broken down high pressure here with an attempt at a ridging pattern like that. Like I said, you have this high pressure here. So that would steer your tropical system. As you can see, the little blue blob here, it would steer it into Mexico, maybe southern Texas. Completely different. Completely different. Completely different. But that's your overall rundown. I want to go through the vorticity, though. Oh, here's the GFS, the 18Z GFS here as well. Yeah, look at that. So, again, you have your... I don't like breaking it down like this because it just gets a little confusing for me, personally. I like this better because, see, now I can see the upper level pattern. So I can see the trough here, see the high pressure here, see the high pressure here, see the high pressure here. And that's going to steer it. Whoa, what did I do there? Look at that. That is not an H, buddy. I butchered my H's right there. High pressure here. High pressure back out over here. There you go. So that's going to steer your, on the 18Z, it's going to steer it into probably in between southern Texas and Louisiana. That's probably going to be on this particular model run something like what Beryl did. That high pressure isn't too strong, so it also could go towards Mexico too. If this high pressure was really strong, it'd block it from Texas and Mexico. This high pressure would probably take dominance over it and try to swing it into Mississippi, Louisiana. However, this high pressure is too weak. So instead, this high pressure's blocking is actually going to be like this. So it's going to block it from going into New Mexico and Kansas. And this high pressure, depending on if it goes more west or not, it might be able to latch on and try to pull it up towards the central U.S. like this. And then follow that trough as the trough exits the U.S. So, yeah, this is your 18Z GFS. I kind of want to wait to see what this is going to paint. See what this is going to do particularly. Oh, that's a very low millibar. That's probably one of the lowest millibars I've seen in on any of these model runs, because that is a Category 4, borderline Category 5 on the GFS going right towards Texas. Please remember, this is a deterministic model run, and it is also, if I zoom out, it is the 18Z. It is the 18Z GFS. So the 18Z and the 06Z GFS model runs are some of the worst models you can look at. So do not take this seriously at all. Don't take it seriously whatsoever, but do take it as a signal of, hey, I might want to just keep an eye on the tropics. That's it. Don't think a hurricane at category 4 strength is going to slam into Texas, okay? By the way, I saw somebody post something about a Cat 4 going into like Texas and Florida. Two different people, of course. Don't listen to that. Don't listen to anybody who posts that stuff. Unless the NHC is forecasting a category 4 or, a Cat 3, there's no reason to call something like that. Because once you get past like a hurricane, if you start calling for a major hurricane and the NHC isn't talking about it, that's just going to lead towards a lot of confusion amongst multiple communities as well as the general public as well. So currently on the thumbnail, you saw it. It says tropical storm likely, and it paints a picture of it potentially going into the U.S. That's because we are very much open for business of a tropical storm heading into the U.S. Now, whether or not that's a Category 1 hurricane or a Category 4 hurricane, that's going to be something we have to determine when we get a heck of a lot closer. This is almost 300 hours out. By the time this makes landfall, wherever it does on the 18Z, it's going to be 300 hours out on the GFS model run. To put it in perspective, anything greater than 180 hours out on any model run is where you start to get inaccurate. And then if you go anywhere above around 240 hours out or greater, you're getting into La fantasy land. So that's why I said don't take that seriously. Do not take it seriously. It's just something we're going to look at to see, what this model run does in particular. I do want to see the overall progression of this, though. Yeah. It does do exactly what I was thinking. This is honestly, unfortunately, what I think is the most likely scenario. Now, intensity, again, the intensity is going to vary. But the track, I think that is a pretty good track from the GFS model run. I think that is very realistic. The intensity is the GFS being the GFS. A 932 millibar on the Texas coastline. Again, please don't take that seriously. I know a couple people out here in Texas who are very much worried about tropical systems. I hope this doesn't circulate the internet too much. I'm going to go on Twitter right now, and I wonder if somebody's already posted about it. I nearly guarantee it. I'm going to go on Twitter, and I swear, if it's the first thing I see, it's not the first thing I see. The first thing I see is severe weather potential tomorrow. Interesting. But I'm sure, give it 10 minutes. Give it 10 minutes, and people will start throwing this all over Twitter. But there you go. That is your 18Z GFS showing a category, unfortunately, category 5. Again, please, I'm going to say it multiple times. Don't take that seriously. It's just a deterministic model run, and it's one of the least accurate model runs we have. Just to show your uncertainty here, look at the 12Z GFS. The 12Z has a category 4, category 3, category 4. Yeah, that'd be category 3 most likely, hitting Florida on September 10th. The 18Z has a Cat 5 hitting Texas on September 12th. So big difference for the time frame, a whole 2 days. That is big. That is big. An extra 2 days in the Gulf is a matter of a tropical depression or a category 3-4 hurricane. So that is massive. If we see, this thing make landfall 2 days earlier towards like September 10th, maybe it won't be as bad as what like the GFS is depicting, a 929 millibar right where Beryl made landfall, or very close to where Beryl made landfall. Very close to where Beryl made landfall. So, gracious day. That is just ridiculous. Again, please. Honestly, this model run is so absurd, it's best just to put an X over it. I don't think I'd take a single last bit of this model run even close to seriously. I wouldn't even take the start of this model run that seriously either. I think it's best to just completely cross this model run out and throw it in the trash can. Considering how absurd it is. Because that is the first model run out of every model run I've looked at. And I've looked at quite a few over the last 24 to 48 hours because of this system. Ever since... After actually over like the last 5 days, I've been looking at the model runs consistently. And I've only seen one model run that kind of compares to this. And it's actually the 12Z earlier today. The one that we were looking at just moments ago. Where'd it go? There you go. Yeah, also another one, actually, the 06Z this morning. There you go. That's the one I was thinking of. The 06Z this morning showed a similar ordeal as what the 18Z has. Notice, that's actually funny because I just said just a few minutes ago, the 18Z and the 06Z are typically the least accurate models. And the two craziest runs we have is the 18Z GFS and the 06Z GFS. So that just proves my point, as you shouldn't listen to those model runs at all. And they're both also very far out. That's 300 hours out for landfall. This one's 312 hours out for landfall. I'll look for Southwest Ohio. Yeah, I'll look at it really, really quick. Let's see here. So tomorrow's your only severe threat. You could have a gust up to 60 miles per hour. Let me see if it's anything notable on models here. Southwest Ohio. Yeah, you could definitely see some gusty winds around 2 o'clock for sure. There's definitely a chance for some thunderstorms that may be able to produce isolated damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. Yeah, between 1 and 3 p.m. Eastern. I don't know if you're in Central or Eastern, but between 1 and 3 p.m. Eastern, this area here has a pretty good shot at damaging winds up to 60. Now, do note that it is summer and model runs are trash at summertime thunderstorms. Trash. These storms here, all these storms that you see, the model runs, the models I looked at were horrific for. I was planning on chasing potentially at 7 o'clock. Storms fired off at noon, 1 o'clock Eastern. We had storms going up to my west here. So models are pretty bad. Pretty bad at summertime thunderstorms. You're in Eastern. Okay. Yeah, I don't exactly know where time zones start and end. I just generally know this is, like, in my head, this is all Eastern here. Oh, nope, Alabama's Central. Some of Alabama's Central, so this is Eastern. No, because Ohio's also Eastern. So this-ish here is Eastern. This-ish is Central. Mountain time out here, and then Pacific time out here. I don't really know. I've never seen a time zone chart. And the ones I have seen, they're all, like, different. I have no idea, y'all. At least I know my time zones, okay? At least I know them. I just don't know exactly where they're located. That stuff won't render it until it is a designated invest. So we can't look at our hurricane models. Which is another reason why, that's another sign of why we need to be taking things lightly. Because we don't even have an invest yet. The closer we get, the more accurate our model runs are going to be. So right now, we're in a stage where they're starting to get more accurate. The least accurate was yesterday and the day before that. Today, they're slightly more accurate because we have some convection. We have a generalized low pressure. We know where the system is. So we can at least get a few model runs that may be at least somewhat good. Tomorrow, we'll start building on that convection, and then eventually we're going to start seeing an invest. The invest is big. Invest is big because we'll start getting hurricane models. We'll know where the low pressure is. We'll see the convection. Then we get a tropical storm. That's really useful too because we'll know exactly where it is again, but our models will also get a hand on the intensity because once you get a tropical storm to form, the models are like, oh, it's already a tropical storm. So it's, said millibar, 1,000, I don't know, 1,003 millibar. Then it goes to a hurricane, and once you get to a hurricane hunters are probably going to get want to fly into it. The track's going to become more certain. We're going to be able to get closer to impacts as well, see who's going to be at risk of the greatest damaging winds and storm surge and all that stuff. And then, of course, their landfall is next. So we're going to take stages. The closer we get to this system entering the Western Caribbean or the Gulf of Mexico, the more we'll know. There isn't really a stage of extreme uncertainty. I guess the most uncertainty exists just like right here. I guess that is where most of our uncertainty is, because some models take it into the Yucatan and then into Mexico, some into Houston, some into Florida. So I guess that is where most of our uncertainty starts, is right around, I think I said east of Jamaica. I meant west of Jamaica. So we'll see. But let's go ahead and turn on your NHC Outlook so you guys can take a look at it. Outlooks, NHC. So yeah, notice, look at their outlook. Just look really closely at their outlook, and you can see if we were to see a tropical storm, the middle would be right like this. You could see right at the end, it starts to curve more north. So their current forecast, if we just follow that general ordeal, it would take it towards like the Yucatan Peninsula, then up towards Texas and Mexico. But of course, they do 7-day graphics, not 14-day graphics. So we'll take it one day at a time. Keep a very close eye on the probabilities. If just really, if you're anywhere here, just watch it. I don't really think there's one area that needs to be watching this closer than another. All the Caribbean, all the Gulf of Mexico, we all need to be watching it closely. I don't think there's a specified area that needs to watch it more than another at this point. We all need to just watch it very closely, because this could, like I said, different. There's so many different scenarios. Could go towards Central America, Yucatan Peninsula, then Mexico, up towards, who knows, which this is least likely, Dominican Republic, Haiti, Bahamas, up towards Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida. There's so many different scenarios still. Because remember the cone of uncertainty, which we don't have a cone yet, but even the AOIs here, that's where the low pressure contract. With the cone of uncertainty, it's where the low pressure contracts. Same with the AOIs, it's where the low pressure contract. So if the low pressure is here, well, then shoot, your whole forecast changes, because now you're looking at something more like that scenario or this scenario here, because it's more north. If your low pressure is on the far southern side of that AOI, well, guess what? It's going to hug the coastlines of South America, probably head into Central America and then Yucatan Peninsula. So the low pressure could be anywhere in this AOI in the next 7 days, and that just shows you how much uncertainty we have. But I'm very confident in a tropical storm forming at some point. I'm confident at a tropical storm forming at some point. The exact locations, though, like I said, unsure on that. All right, I do want to look at this really quick. Let's see here. 18Z. And do this. This is just for the funsies, okay? Please don't take what I'm about to show seriously. This is just because I want to see how absurd this is. Y'all ready? Here is the wind gust. Here is wind gust. And I want to see just how crazy this gets. Here's your low pressure, your tropical system. This is going into, I can't see the date here. I got to move it over. This is going into September 9th. And then it becomes a tropical storm as we go to September 10th. Watch this. We're going to watch this rapid intensification phase on the model run together. So right as it exits the Yucatan Peninsula, it instantly gets into that absurdly warm Gulf of Mexico and just extremely rapidly intensifies all the way up until approach on the Texas coastline. That's the end of your model run on this site. Wind gust at 125, 130 knots. Somebody do that conversion real quick. If I had to guess, I'd say that's right around 140. I'm saying random, 141 miles per hour. Someone say how dead wrong I am. Well, 135. Never mind. 135 knots to MPH. 147. 147 miles per hour. The knots is 135. There might be another frame that's actually stronger than that. It's just not loaded in just yet. See, this is it. It's just not loaded in. 150, so that's wind gust. So you know what? That actually wouldn't even be close to a Category 5. Even though that millibar is very, very low, that wouldn't even be close to a Cat 5. Look at it. It's maxed out. It's just a blob of bad data. That's how strong it gets. It gets strong so quickly that the site just says nope. Wow. Let's go ahead and take a look at... Let's see. What else could we look at on here? The GFS is really the main thing. There's the pressure. Yeah, you can see it's not picking up completely on the pressure. Because this says the pressure is 946, but we know it's actually... this particular GFS said it was, what, like 920 something? Let's go back here. I swear it was 920 something. Okay, well, 932 apparently. Scott, don't worry about it. It's one of the worst model runs. We're really looking at it just because, well, we can. The 18Z model runs and the 06Z model runs of the GFS are some of the worst model runs you can look at. It's the model run you really want to just throw in the trash can. Look at that. That is crazy, though. To put it in perspective, the 18Z and the 06Z GFS model runs today are absurd. The 12Z is still crazy, but not anywhere close to what the 18Z and 06Z have said. So there's no point in listening to them. You can get an idea, you could still get an idea of what may happen, but it's not something to, like, take seriously by any means. But you do want to watch it. If you're in Texas, if you're anywhere along the Gulf coastline, you do want to watch it closely. I don't want you to take this model run seriously, but I do want you to watch the tropical wave. But don't take the model run seriously. See what else we can put on here. This is a new site I've been looking at. I haven't put it on stream before. That's your 850 vorticity, which this can really, really help with depicting exactly where your tropical wave is. And you can very clearly see it as it goes through Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, Yucatan Peninsula, Southwestern Gulf, and then eventually into Texas there at the end of the loop. Let's see, then this is another one. This is 850 millibars, or 850 millibar wind speeds. This is probably one of my favorite products to use, just because it is much easier, still, again, much easier to see where your tropical wave is, and it's also easier to depict the intensity of it based on 850 millibar wind speeds as well. So you can clearly tell that this thing becomes a tropical storm on this particular model run, becomes a tropical storm just before the Cayman Islands, intensifies into a hurricane as it goes into the Yucatan Peninsula. Category 2 as it leaves the Yucatan Peninsula. Where am I on my chart here? Then intensifies Category 3, Category 4, Category 5, right as it gets on the coastline of Texas. That is the most absurd model run you could get. I don't know if we're going to get a worse model run than this. I'd be quite surprised. So again, in my opinion, with this 18Z model run, just put an X over it. I just feel like it's too crazy. I really just feel like saying just put a complete X over it, because there's no way it's going to be the same tomorrow. The model runs you should pay the most attention to is the 12Z and the 00Z, and you want to pay attention to consistency. Consistency is key. That is the biggest thing between these deterministic model runs. Consistency is key. Which we have, just toss it in the trash can. We have no consistency with the GFS, other than the only consistency we have with the GFS is it forms into a tropical storm around this point and then heads towards the Yucatan Peninsula and then into the Gulf. Once it gets into the Gulf, we've seen the GFS took it into Mexico. GFS now has taken it into Texas. The GFS took it into Louisiana. And the 18Z, or rather the 12Z, which is the model run before this one, took it into Florida. So, yeah, no consistency. No consistency once this gets towards the Yucatan Peninsula. Yeah, I'm just saying I don't think we'll see a crazy model run like this with this system again. Like, this is the craziest one I've seen, and I'd be pretty surprised if we get a crazier one. Like, I'd be very shocked if we get a millibar lower than 932 on the GFS. Also, those crazy model runs that we had with the with Barrel too. If you guys remember, some of them. So Barrel, we'll just use an example. Barrel was like generally southwest of Jamaica here. And we actually had some model runs that had it becoming like a Cat 3, Cat 4 as it goes into Texas. We all know that it was actually a low-end Category 1 hurricane as it hit Texas. So, that's another thing. The GFS very often overdoes intensity. But I think that this model run also should just show you how favorable the Gulf is. The fact that it goes from a tropical storm here, not even, let me go further actually. This is how favorable the Gulf is. It goes from a tropical storm here, and then let's see, this is one day later, Category 3. Another day, Category 5. So that shows you how ridiculously favorable the Gulf will be. If this thing gets into the Gulf, it's not going to be fun. It is going to be a really bad situation if we see this AOI get into the Gulf. Hopefully it stays weak and it can head towards like Central America, where it won't do a whole lot because it will be weak. Even if it hits the Yucatan Peninsula, it would still be like a tropical storm. It probably wouldn't be that strong. But if it gets in that Gulf, man, that Gulf, that's when it's going to become a big issue if it gets into that Gulf of Mexico, which there's still a lot of ways it won't get in that Gulf. So, yeah. Like I said, you really, with this model, it's just probably best to cross it out, but do use it as an example, and I'm going to use it as an example of how favorable the Gulf is, so you guys know, if this does actually get in the Gulf, we'll probably be dealing with at least a hurricane. Yeah, that is very, very interesting there. Also, I know you guys can't see it, but this frame right here, this frame is 300 hours out. Anything beyond, like I said, 180 hours out, I consider that's going to be inaccurate. So this is 180 hours out. Anything beyond this, you're just getting to a very inaccurate point in the model run, and you shouldn't be taking it seriously at all. The main thing you need to pay attention to, if you are very concerned about this, if we have anybody who's actually like who could be in the path of this and really concerned about this system, the main thing is just keep an eye on the NHC. That's the good thing. The National Hurricane Center, they'll go through the GFS, the European, every hurricane model. They'll take into account all the ingredients. They'll take into account different scenarios, different ensembles, every ensemble member. They'll put it into a forecast for you. That's the good thing. So the NHC literally does everything we talked about in this briefing for you. And they put it in a very simple, straightforward graphic right here. 40% chance of a tropical storm or depression to develop within the next 7 days. Now, pay very close attention to that because I feel like that is going to increase quite quickly. Matter of fact, if some of you guys don't know how to get to the NHC, I'll put a link to it just in case we do have anyone concerned about this system. There, if you click that link in the chat, it will bring you directly to this page right here, and you can see the current day 7 outlook from the National Hurricane Center. Well, Lucky's still not home, so we're just going to do a 2-hour briefing because there's a lot of things that I'm still looking at here, and I'm enjoying this briefing. I'm having fun talking about this system. Hello, Haley. Welcome to the stream. Weather Tracker, welcome to the stream. Hopefully we can get Caleb in here. I know he was in here for a bit, but he kind of, like, poofed. He disappeared. We could also look at the European model run with this as well. Yeah, so you could just tell by the European model that it's going to take it more like this. It's going to take it more towards Louisiana. Unfortunately, that's where our model run ends right there. Also note, look at that. Whoa. Look at that. The European model has this thing becoming a tropical storm really soon. Once you start seeing those light greens to yellows, yeah, look at that. That is wind speeds of around 50 miles per hour there. So once you get into the light greens and the yellows, that's when you're looking at a tropical storm on a specified model run. So the Euro actually has this developing pretty quick. It manages to get to maybe even hurricane strength before it even gets into the Gulf. Look at that. That's probably category 2 strength on the European model run before it gets in the Gulf. That is, if we had access to like 300 frames on the European model, I can only imagine what millibars show at the end. Because that's like a category 2, maybe even, I'll have to go look at the millibar on tropical tidbits. That is probably a major hurricane right there. Look at that. 971 millibar. That is probably very close to a major hurricane on the European model run as this thing enters the Gulf. So that is ridiculous. I kind of wish we could see 300 hours out on the European because I have a feeling it'd show like a category 4 or 5 somewhere along the coastlines here. Oh, it could definitely shift further south. It is... So, let me go ahead and just go all the way back here. So it's generally located, okay, you guys can see my cursor. Generally, it's located right here. It is open to go anywhere in this whole area here. The low pressure could go anywhere in this whole area. The low pressure could track more north and end up like this and go out to sea. After hitting like Puerto Rico, it could go so far south that it barely even gets to a tropical storm and impacts Central America, or it could go with what this European model was saying and head into the Gulf. So there's a wide variety of possibilities here. But the most likely scenario is, this heads right towards the Yucatan Peninsula, maybe either completely goes through the entirety of like the central portion of the Yucatan Peninsula, or nicks the northern tip of the Yucatan Peninsula and then goes into the Gulf. And then from there, it's all up in the air. It just depends on how that high pressure is to the west, how the high pressure is to the east, and how our big trough is to the north. If that high pressure to the east is stronger, it will try and fling it towards Florida. If this high pressure towards New Mexico is stronger, it's going to try and pull it towards Texas. If that trough here, because we will have a trough eventually. It also depends on where it is. If that trough is stronger, lower in amplitude, if it's higher up in amplitude, it could fling it towards Mississippi, could fling it up towards Louisiana, could fling it towards Florida. So there's a big old question mark here. And that's why on the thumbnail over the U.S. there's a question mark because we just straight up don't know where it could go once it enters the Gulf. It's too far out. It is too far out. Here's 180 frames on the European model, which puts it right to the southwest of the Cayman Islands. Like I said, anything beyond 180 hours out is where you get very inaccurate. So I do believe one of our... I'd be pretty surprised if this doesn't stay in the Caribbean. To be honest with you, I'd be very surprised if this tracks further south in this area, and I'd be very surprised if it tracks further north towards this area. Considering how freaking consistent our models have been. Caleb, I literally just talked about you. I think I spoke him into existence. Because I literally just mentioned you. I said, I hope Caleb could catch towards the end of the stream or something. I don't know. I said, I hope Caleb's in here. I forgot what I said. I said something about you being in here. I was hoping you'd be in here. Something around the realms of that. But I just don't see a way how this doesn't go through the Caribbean. And, well, we'll see. There is a few models. The most common, two of the most common models, I just talked about this probably almost 40 minutes ago at this point, honestly. The two models I've seen, number one, most likely track is it goes into the Gulf and then impacts one of the Gulf states in this area here. The other scenario, which I've seen from 3 models or so and a couple ensembles, is it tracks pretty much right along that, but instead of it taking that turn to the northeast, it goes right into the Yucatan Peninsula and then right into Mexico. Somewhere along this side of Mexico. So that's kind of, in my opinion, your two most likely scenarios. It goes right up into the Gulf, or it goes directly into the Southwest Gulf and then into Mexico. If it takes this track, notice, of course, it'd have a lot less chance of intensifying. It'd be more of like an Alberto situation, the first named storm we saw this year, where we tracked it all the way from the... where did it originate from? I think it originated from the Yucatan Peninsula. Can't exactly remember. And then it intensified to a tropical storm, borderline hurricane, I believe, and then made landfall in Mexico. It'd do something like that. It wouldn't have as much time to strengthen. It'd have probably a day, maybe, if we're unlucky, a little more than a day. So that'd be enough to get it to near hurricane status. But if it took a track into the Gulf, you're talking about it taking, 2 days. It could be 2 days into those really, really warm ocean heat, high ocean heat content values and 32 degrees Celsius temperatures, allowing for rapid intensification being a very real possibility. So I'm really interested to see what this system does. It's either going to be a big time issue, or it's going to end up being a smaller issue. We'll just see. Like I said, this is your two most likely scenarios. We'll go back to that. Hopefully, yep, there you go. Your two most likely scenarios there. Oh, I didn't finish my yellow arrow. There you go. That's what I think is the most likely scenario. I'm going to probably make a scene for this website because it is a website that I really, really love. I didn't purposely remove the watermark, by the way. That is not on purpose. So if the developer of this is watching, I didn't do that on purpose. I apologize. Here's the link if you guys want to go use this app yourself. You can see the watermark right there. See, it starts with an A right there. So I'm probably gonna make an overlay for this site to where I can include that whole watermark because that was not on purpose. This is just the scene I use for absolutely everything. They don't have a lot of people using their site just yet. I was one of the first like 300 people to start using their site, and they're growing. They're definitely starting to grow. I think it's one of the best sites out there, and by the time they're done, it might be the best website for weather models. They are working every single day to get more and more models on here to make it better, fix bugs, glitches, and there's also there's so much to this. It's so much to it. Well, I know they're gonna charge for it once it releases. I hope they don't charge too much because I'd definitely pay for the subscription. I hope it doesn't end up being like a weather bell where it's freaking $500 a year in order for me to use it on stream. How much is weather bell? You know what? I'm gonna go look right now. It's ridiculous. All right, weather bell is, let's see. Gracious day, I can't even find their pricing. Yikes! It's worse than I thought. $690 a year. $690 a year. If you guys want to know why I don't use Weatherbell, there you go. I could put that money to so much better things. I could get freaking 2 new drones, a new monitor, probably half a new computer, a new laptop. I could use it for chasing, donate it to storm victims. There's so many better things I could use that money for as opposed to buying it website for 1 year, $690. It's crazy. So, yeah, if you guys haven't already, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you've shared stream, family, friends, social media, and consider subscribing if you are new. We're getting very close. We are, I think we're, holy crap, I think we're 8 shy. Oh boy, it's gonna happen overnight again, ain't it? Yeah, this milestone has taken a little longer to reach, thanks to it being tropics. Channel doesn't grow much in tropics, but above my face cam, you can see we're at 6,992 subscribers. We are 8 away from 7K. All right, let's go ahead and here's our National Hurricane Center again. You can see there's a. We're probably gonna have to. Unless they update this early, which most of the time they do, we might end up extending our live stream a little longer. I wanna update. I want to get the new probabilities on all these outlooks for you guys, which comes out right around, if not just before 8 p.m. Eastern. So the main AOI, of course, is this bad boy right here. That's your biggest issue. This could become a sneaky tropical storm over the next 3 days. And this will probably be a fish tropical storm. Yeah, there's too many scenarios to know where this AOI is gonna go. We just dove into all of it. If I could, let's see. I'm gonna pull it up again, just so people know how much uncertainty we do have with this system. There is a lot of different scenarios here and a heckload of different moving parts. So if you weren't in here, you know, about 20-ish minutes ago when I last did this, we're going to go and do it again so I can show y'all. Let me close out some tabs. I have way too many tabs open. Close out that one. I have 8 tropical tidbits open right now. Close that one. Close that one. I'm going to keep that open. Keep that open. Okay. There you go. So here's the GFS model run. We're going to go all the way out to when the GFS has this making landfall in Texas, apparently. But here you go. So this is pretty complex. This is not a easy to forecast scenario here. You've got a very, it's kind of a mid-latitude trough ejection here. You have a high pressure that's decently strong here. A weak to decent strong high pressure off the coastline of Cali. And then a strong high pressure just off your screen up here in northern Idaho, western Montana, southeastern Washington state. So this pattern here if we just draw all the lines, we're going to go ahead and get rid of all this. So this is going to steer here. This is going to steer like this. This is going to steer, let's see. This is going to steer like this. And this is going to steer like this. So this high pressure is actively attempting to pull this hurricane. It's actively trying to pull it into Mexico. This high pressure is actively trying to pull it to Florida. This trough is actively trying to pull it into Texas. This trough, or this high pressure, my bad. This high pressure doesn't matter. And overall, you could see, watch what wins here. Because that trough is, well, let's see. Because you kind of have like it's almost a blocking high here. You have this high pressure that's pulling it with the trough. So you have two things. Two things are trying to pull it east, whereas one thing is kind of pulling it west, if not almost blocking it. So that allows it to take just a little bit more. You can see it. Look, it's moving west, 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 north, north, north. So that allows it to take more of a northern turn as it gets a little bit further away from the high pressure, a little closer to the trough. So that allows for this particular model run to have landfall right just to the southwest of Houston. Now, let's go back just one model, just one model. Oh, well, your whole thing changed. Your whole setup changed. Now we have a stronger high pressure here that is actively blocking Texas. Your trough is way into here, so it's going to drag it up this way, where a high pressure is also helping to drag it. So I already know the outcome, but I mean, gracious day, this is very clear. This is going to be a Florida to Alabama landfall right here. Watch this. We'll go back here. Booyah, Florida. Right there. There you go. Completely different pattern, because you have this large trough digging down and literally attaching itself to the tropical system. A very weak high pressure pulling it like this. And then another high pressure here. By the way, your high pressure goes like this. It's rotating like that. And then you have another high pressure here that's pretty weak, that's blocking. So you basically have wall, and then magnet. Magnet. Wall, magnet. So, of course, your tropical system's going to go to the magnet and then follow the magnet up and out to sea. Completely different. Completely different. Now let's go to the European model. Let's go to the European model run here. Close to the very end here. Completely different again. Still have that high pressure, relatively weak. So there is pretty much a wall there. Your this is actually a very low amplitude. Look at that. Very far into the deep south. Halfway into Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. So that's a pretty strong trough right there. And then you have this very large, very large, but relatively weak high pressure blocking here. So that's, you've got this. This is rotating here like this, with the low pressure helping to rotate it like this. So that's why your jet stream goes whoop. And then, like I said, you've got a little weak wall here. Like this. So if this European continued because of this trough, I would bet that this would go towards Louisiana. It'd kind of be magneted towards that trough ejection, but not a lot, because we don't have a blocking high pressure like right here. This would probably not be a Florida landfall. It would probably be more of a dead center, if not eastern Louisiana landfall on this European model run if it went out more. And that's just talking about over here. We have a whole nother different system complex back out here in the North Atlantic. If we go all the way back to what we're looking at like now. Right now, we have a high pressure up here. High pressure generally back out here, which is steering your tropical waves, this tropical wave up like this. Your other tropical wave that we're really watching for potential U.S. impacts like this. You have a trough digging down over here, trough digging down over here. This is old. Yep, you betcha. I noticed that because I was like, this isn't completely right. There you go. There you go. High pressure. High pressure. AOI 1, AOI 2-ish. AOI 2-ish is going to be going up this way. AOI 1 is going to be going that way. Trough here. Trough here. Upper level ridging almost with another high pressure backup up in this area. And then you just have really general flow going like this thanks to your high pressures. So there you go. Just it's all a bunch of confusion. There's a lot of moving parts to weather, y'all. A lot of moving parts. Lot of moving parts. Do we have a severe thunderstorm warning? All right, we do. So because of this, we're going to go full screen severe thunderstorm warning. We are just a few subscribers away from 7K. 2 away from 7K. I didn't think we were going to hit this today. I thought maybe if I go live tomorrow we could, but here we go. 2 away from 7K. I have a good feeling someone's going to unsubscribe. They normally do. So if you guys haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. There you go, with the notification bell set to all. Ta-da, look at that. I'm even good at predicting subscriber numbers. Look at that. Oh, 4. Hold on, we're going the wrong way. We're going the wrong way. Please don't go back to 5. I'll flop it onto the other monitor. I don't want to sit on this scene for too long. 3. Also, while you're down there near that subscribe button, if you can, hit the like button as well. And maybe share the stream. That's greatly appreciated. Share the stream with your family so they can subscribe too. And be our before 7,000 subscribers. Sub 7K. We're just 2 away again. Just 2 away again. Yep, 2 more. That's probably best. Man. Lucky's almost home. He should be home any second. So we're probably going to hit the milestone right after, like right when he gets home. Or it's going to be overnight. When we hit 1K, it was completely overnight. One of my videos absolutely blew up. And got like 16,000 views. And that got us to 1K. Let's see here. When did we hit 1K? You guys are about to see the whole lifetime of TRG subscribers. See when we hit 1K. I'm pretty sure it was sometime in October. We're 1 away. There you go. 7,000. Yeah, let's go. We hit 1,000 subscribers on October 22nd. The night of October 22nd, we hit 1K. It was overnight. So there you go. 7,000 subscribers. Okay, get it away. I'm not giving you guys the opportunity to unsubscribe. Oh, man. Thank you guys so much. It's been a journey to get to that one. That was honestly a bit of a hard milestone to hit. Dude, I just realized that was our milestone to hit for the end of August. Dude, we barely got that. There's just about less than 30 hours now left of August, and we just barely got that subscriber goal. I remember saying that earlier. At like the very start of August? 8K for September. No, the goal for September is going to be 7,200. That's going to be the goal for September. I just want to show you guys all the support, just to put it into a number of how much support you guys have been giving the channel. We started 2024 with 3,470 subscribers. That's 7K. That is 7K now. So we've gained over well over 3,500 subscribers. Wow. Over 3,500 subscribers in probably by the time the year's over, it'll be probably 4K in a year. That is ridiculous growth. Just to show y'all the whole graphic. So here's when TRG started uploading Minecraft videos. Here's when TRG uploaded one of his first successful videos. Here's where TRG and Lucky continue to live stream on a daily basis for severe weather. Here's one of the, that's probably the April 30th live stream, if I had to guess. Oh, no, it was April 1st, the April 1st, 2nd live stream. And then from there on, it's just been a gradual climb. This is the moment that YouTubers dread, weather YouTubers dread here. That's last year in very late August, around this time, into all of September, all of October, all of November, all of December. We really were plateauing for subscribers. So we'll see how much better we can do there. I'm going to try to upload more frequently. But even if we do plateau, I'm not going to quit uploading. Like I said, the only reason why the subscribers really matter to me is because the more subscribers we have, the more people we can reach, the more people are weather aware. Absolutely crazy, man. I can remember. That is ridiculous. Just a little over 2 years ago, we hit 200 subscribers. A little over 2 years ago, I hit 200 subscribers. That is crazy. Wow. That is absurd. Alrighty. Well, let's get back into the weather now. Thank you guys for 7,000 subscribers. I feel like we do that milestone thing almost every month where we're hitting another K almost. Let's see. Are you talking about like models you can look at, like models we look at here on the channel? If so, for tropical weather, I extremely highly recommend Tropical Tidbits. For severe weather, College of DuPage. For tropical satellite imagery, I recommend Cyclonic WX. For severe weather satellite imagery, I recommend College of DuPage. For radars, you can obviously use Radar Omega, but the one I like the most is GR2 Analysis. There's also a free one, Attic Radar. That's really good as well. So there's some sources for you. South Carolina, no. Maybe if we have a worse, which this is definitely not likely, but if we have a worst case scenario, no, we could see the remnants of a tropical storm make its way in South Carolina like Debbie did. But it definitely won't be as bad as Debbie, because Debbie went like this, stalled out right here for a couple of days for like 24 hours, then hit South Carolina. Actually, it then went up the South Carolina and North Carolina western sides here. So you could get remnants of a tropical system if that scenario were to play out where we see this thing go like this. However, there's a lot of other scenarios. There's a lot of moving parts. So I definitely wouldn't be expecting anything up there. But this is the main area that we're watching. If you live in this area here, and give you a good old circle, this whole area, we are watching for potential impacts. So the entirety of the Caribbean and Gulf of Mexico. My thoughts on tomorrow? Well, let's see really quick. Oh, the NHC just updated. We'll go over that in just a second, and then we'll begin to wrap up, probably. Lucky will be live. He's taken a very long time. Somebody, if you can, go... someone who's subscribed to him, if you can, go check his channel, see if he is scheduled his stream. Also, thank you, Caleb, for being a EF2 member for 5 months. You just checked? Okay. Well, he'll be live eventually tonight. If not, then he'll just skip the weather stream. We'll go on to just a gaming stream. Yeah, honestly, I don't see a lot with tomorrow's slight risk for severe weather. I'll give you a circle of where I think the greatest threat will be. Let's see. Based on models at the moment. Oh, heck yeah. That is way too freaking far east. Yeah, this is like the main area I'd watch for severe weather. That's where I think we have the most likelihood of seeing severe weather tomorrow. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys tuning in. And if you guys haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Once again, we're going to begin to wrap this up. Make sure you hit that like button on your way out, because even after the stream ends, if you hit the like button as the stream's ending or after it ends, it will still recommend my live stream to more people. So even though we've reached already over 1,500 people, 1,500, we'll probably get close to 2K just because all the likes on the live stream contribute to the YouTube algorithm, and it pushes us out even after we end the stream. So yeah, but we are going to wrap up here. Pez, to answer your question, like I said, this is really far east. I'm shocked with how far that east, the slight risk goes. They might disextend that, but then again, there's always a lot of uncertainty with how long storms can last in the summertime. So it's not a bad idea to have that big of a slight risk, but I am pretty surprised it's that far to the east after looking at models. But yeah, that's going to be it. If you guys want to tune into the gaming stream later on tonight, I don't know exactly what game we'll be doing. I'm going to talk to Lucky about it. I think I have an idea, but I'm not going to say it unless Lucky can confirm it. But if you guys want to go and watch the gaming channel, I'll give you a link to our latest live stream. There you go. So we'll be live on that channel probably around 9. I don't think Lucky's going to be able to fit in a weather live stream. The new NHC update can't leave you hanging. Holy crap. Can't leave you hanging. They kept this at a 1020, so not that high of a chance to develop, but still a chance. The disturbance they kept at a 040. There's nothing wrong with that. Better safe than sorry. You know, they're just being a little conservative, which there's nothing wrong with that. And then our other AOI, they kept at a 020. So not shocked there. Seems like all the probabilities stayed the same. But we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Oops. That's our latest live stream, Pez. So yeah, you bet I will. But yeah, that is going to be it for the live stream. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I don't know if we'll be live again tomorrow. It's 50-50. I will be live Monday unless something random comes up. But I do plan on streaming Monday. I can't stream Sunday. I will be way too busy Sunday. So tomorrow's a 50-50. If we get a good update tomorrow from the NHC and models are showing something different, I'll go live. So we're kind of 50-50 on that. I'll just see about it. So yeah, anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, if you haven't, hit that subscribe button on your way out, like the stream on your way out, and I will see you guys in the next one. Stay safe, watch severe weather in the tropics. Goodbye.
See you later, brothers.
Good.